Good morning, everyone. Just a quick note before I start. You may have noticed I did change my title of this video a little bit. Hang on one second. I'm just gonna hardwire in here. Okay, so things are moving crazy this morning. We have Barry Morphew in court at 9 a.m., so an hour ago. We have Chad Daybell in court an hour ago. That's no longer on Zoom. And we have Lori this afternoon at 1. Okay, so I have the documents for the motion. There's a motion to dismiss without prejudice, and I'll read it to you guys. It's important. Now, if we just rewind a little bit, Barry Morphew had his defense team do a motion to dismiss. We know that. Now, this is one from the district attorney. So Linda Stanley brought this forward. It's date filed 10 to 9 this morning, 8:51 a.m., April 19th. And I'm going to read you through it. So in some aspects, okay, if the judge, we don't know yet. So I thought the judge had ruled on this, and that's why I had the title, so I changed it. But we might find out in the next, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes what the judge is saying, or if he wants to look this over. Now, hello, everyone. Okay, so no, Lori will not be on Zoom. They will not do it live. Nate Eaton and a couple of other different people will. So same with Barry. It's Colorado. They can't. There was all kinds of drama around why they can't have Barry on WebEx or any of that. Long story. So we might talk about this a little bit later. Okay, so now there's some important points. It's an 11-page document, and they make some points that in some hand we are going to be, some ways we'll be upset. But after I read all of this, because at first I'm thinking Barry's has a smirk on his face, right? But after I read through it, I think this may be a blessing in disguise. Maybe. Okay, so to recap, as people are coming in, Barry was supposed to go to trial, and technically is supposed to go to trial end of April. So we were looking at just over a week. He was starting to go to trial, okay? And since the defense filed a motion to dismiss, and now the prosecution filed a motion to dismiss, it's going to be interesting what the judge says, right? I'm having little side chats, and some people are saying, well, I don't know if the judge will keep it going after both sides are requesting, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Just let me know. Okay, so I'll start reading this and we'll go through it. Some things I'll try not to be a snore on, because I know it gets a little bit technical. And but I've highlighted some important parts to it. Okay. So just make sure you guys can hear me okay. We're all good? Oh, yes. Now, regarding this case, it says, I really hope that video you did on bodies in the surrounding plantation plays a role in where she might be buried. If you guys are wondering what the heck that's all about, I did a video very recently. It has to do with the body farm, and they're doing studies on trees and plants and what happens when a cadaver is around that area, how it can change the leaves and properties of a tree or plants or grass, that type of thing. And it's these cadaver islands, they call it, that it creates. And so I had made the video. It was a general video on all cases, but I had brought in the example of Barry Morphew and Justin Evans, but with Suzanne, that perhaps there is, she could be outdoors or under a tree or around the area. We know that Barry had made a few remarks saying, he knows how to hide a body. He knows how to hide deep enough that that a person would never be found. It wasn't directly with Suzanne, but I have been saying forever and a day that I think that Suzanne is near the home somewhere. Okay, so that's what this person, thank you for bringing that up too. So if one of my mods are in here and could find the link to that video, that would be awesome, because a lot of people are finding it very intriguing, right? About this new theories. I guess it's not really new from the Body Farm, but they've been working on this for the last couple of years and studying it in hopes that it would help find missing people. It would hone in on an area, and they could see these changes and start to find hopefully people faster. All right, so it's okay, Caroline. I know how invested in this case you are. It's okay. Once we read this, you're going to feel a little bit better. Maybe not totally better, but a little bit. And thanks, Caroline. Nice to see you, and thank you for your super chat. Okay, so, and there's that Body Farm video if you can get it. You might copy it in the comments there. All right, so let's read it. It says, motion to dismiss without prejudice. The people by and through Linda Stanley, District Attorney for the 11th Judicial District, hereby move this court to dismiss the charges against the defendant in the case number without prejudice. It says, on May 6, 2021, the defendant was brought before the court on charges including the first-degree murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew. To date, Ms. Morphew's remains have not been found. On September 17th, 2021, after the Honorable Judge Murphy found probable cause for the charges listed in the indictment, but declined to find proof evident presumption great, the defendant was granted a bond that was quickly posted. Now, we know he was granted bond, and we know he was given an ankle monitor that doesn't work. It doesn't work in where he lived, which is right near his old house. And I'll tell you where they think she is in a minute, because it does mention it in here. Okay. Thank you, Olivia. I really hope Justice, I'm thinking about Justin Evans. I really hope justice comes for Suzanne, love from Ireland. Well, thank you for visiting from Ireland, and thank you for your super chat. So it says the same day, which is in September, the defense entered a formal plea of not guilty and agreed to toll speedy trial to accommodate a trial date slated to begin on May 3rd, 2022. In subsequent filings, the court added an extra few days of trial in anticipation of more extensive jury selection period. Trial is now scheduled to begin April 28th, 2022. So in 9 days, that's when it is scheduled, pending on what the judge says. Judge Lama. Throughout the pendency of this case, the people and law enforcement have been unrelenting in our search for Ms. Morphew. For some time, a single location has been the target of ongoing investigation. For the reasons expressed below, the people have a good faith reason to believe further investigation into this matter is essential to answering the most consequential question presented by this case. As this search cannot be accomplished in the coming weeks due to the weather and snowpack conditions, the people respectfully ask this court to dismiss the current indictment against the defendant without prejudice. Okay, and we're going to go into more of this because it's going to describe why they think this and what they want to do. So, okay. Now, it says, the prosecution has the constitutional power to exercise its discretion in deciding which of several possible outcomes to pursue in a criminal case. So they give some example, People versus Liechtenstein, citing Myers versus District Court. Specifically, the decision to charge a suspect, consent to a deferred prosecution, or requesting dismissal are matters within the district attorney's sole discretion. The district attorney is part of the executive branch, and his discretion in requesting dismissal is governed by practical considerations. Then the example of Liechtenstein, where you find this case law. It says, at common law, the prosecution has the unilateral authority to dismiss criminal charges through the entry of nolo, okay, I'm going to try and pronounce this, nolo prosequi or prosequi, not sure. QUI, depending on what language that is. I would say qui, not, yeah, anyways. if it's Latin. You can correct me, it's okay. When this case first started, I called it salida because that's how you say it in Spanish, but it's salida. So there's all kinds of things. Okay, so somebody, okay, let's see here. You guys are saying a bit blurry. That's so weird. It shouldn't be. Let me try this and tell me if that works. Okay. Also, if you're seeing me a bit blurry, it might be your connection. I learned from YouTube. You just go to the little gear settings and then you can switch it back to what your normal is, but it should work now. All right. I hate that it's blurry. All right, where are we? By the state, no criminal case pending in any court shall be dismissed or annulled prosecute therein entered by any prosecuting attorney or his deputy, unless upon a motion in open court and with the court's consent and approval. Such a motion shall be supported or accompanied by a written statement concisely stating the reasons for the action. The statement shall be filed with the record of the particular case and be open to public inspection. Such a dismissal may not be filed during the trial without the defense consent. This statute parallels the federal rule crime, and then it gives an example. This provision is intended to give the court some supervisory power over the prosecution for cases to the extent the interests of justice, as well as the interests of the defendant and society, are implicated. Again, Liechtenstein. Thus, in exercising its discretion in reviewing a motion to dismiss charges, the trial court should not serve merely as a rubber stamp for the prosecution's decision. Ultimately, while the court has discretion to deny a motion to dismiss, these circumstances are narrow, as the principles behind the separation of powers gives the people the sole power to prosecute crimes. The decision to request dismissal of pending criminal charges is within the district attorney's discretion, and this decision may not be controlled or limited by judicial intervention. The trial court, however, should be arbitrarily substitute its own decision for that of the prosecution. Rather, the court must exercise judicial restraint and only act if the dismissal is clearly contrary to public interest. A trial's court's refusal to consent to dismissal of charges is only appropriate where the evidence is clear and convincing that the interests of the defendant or the public are jeopardized by the refusal to prosecute. Leave or to dismiss will be granted if the government is without sufficient evidence to obtain a conviction, or if dismissal is sought for some other bona fide reason that does not involve harassment of the defendant. In evaluating the standard, the court must look to the reasoning behind the dismissal and whether or not the decision to dismiss is made in good faith. The court in Storley later clarified that the prosecution is presumed to have acted in the best interest of the public unless it is shown that it acted in a manner inconsistent with good faith. And then example, case law, People versus Storley. Examples of bad faith were adopted by the Storley court to include the prosecutor's acceptance of a bribe, personal dislike of a victim, and dissatisfaction with the jury impaneled. If it should appear that the prosecutor is motivated to dismiss because he has accepted a bribe or because he desires to attend a social event instead of attend upon the court in the trial of the case, or because he personally dislikes the victim of the crime, the court should withhold leave. Another example of bad faith would be, as was noted in Liechtenstein, the harassment of the defendant. A trial court's denial of a motion to dismiss is reviewed under an abuse of discretion standard. Again, Liechtenstein. How are you guys doing here? It's a lot. We're on page 4. We got to go to 11. But it'll get this. The big part of the case law takes a little bit to run through. Okay. The exercise in discretion to dismiss cases have been tested in many Colorado cases over the years. In Liechtenstein, the Supreme Court of Colorado considered whether a trial court abused its discretion by denying a motion to dismiss by the prosecution for a single severed count against a defendant, leaving the remaining count eligible for a jury rather than a court trial. Specifically, the court held in this case the dismissal of the lesser charge was a decision made by the prosecution to maintain its right to require a jury trial on the issue of sanity for the more serious of the two counts. The prosecution was attempting to obviate any potential conflict between two inconsistent statutory rights and protect the people's interest in a jury trial on the issue of sanity for the Class 3 felony in accordance with the legislative intent of section, and then they say the section. The court held that the trial court abused its discretion because the prosecution's decision to dismiss the lesser count was as a good faith exercise in prosecutorial discretion. That's a big word. Prosecutorial. Okay. Similarly, the court in Storley was asked to review a trials court denial of a motion to dismiss charges of sexual assault on a child by the prosecution. The prosecution pointed to concerns that they had with victims' memory, the credibility issues with the different CRE 404B victim, and its competency issues with the key witness, the victim's mother. While the prosecution initially stated the victim did not object to the dismissal, a subsequent letter to the court authored by the victim revealed the opposite. The trial court, upon hearing the victim's objection, denied the prosecution motions to dismiss. The Colorado Supreme Court made factual findings that the prosecution in this case based its motion to dismiss the charges against Storley on its candid assessment of the strength of the victim's and potential witnesses' testimony. This is going somewhere here. So if you're wondering, why is she reading all that? This determination is the quintessential example of a good faith exercise of prosecutorial discretion. Further, the court could not find any basis for concluding that the prosecution acted in bad faith. The trial court argued that it properly exercised discretion by acting consistently with the victim's wishes and broader societal concerns, but these arguments were not relevant to the ultimate determination at hand. Woo! Glad this isn't a Mark Means document. The court held that the discretion to dismiss lies with the prosecution, not the trial court. Therefore, the question is not whether there might be good reasons to deny the prosecution's motion to dismiss, as respondent suggests. Rather, the question is whether the prosecution sought to dismiss the charges based on a good faith exercise of its discretion. Accordingly, the court found the trial court abused its discretion in denying the prosecution's motion to dismiss the case in its entirety. All right, here we get to the good stuff, okay? So they had to lay that foundation first, right? So that they can explain, use case law, blah, 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 right? Okay, here we go. Effective dismissal without prejudice, which is that null prosequi. Hopefully I didn't ruin that. Okay, a dismissal, I'm just going to say dismissal without prejudice. A dismissal has varied effects with regard to the financial disposition of a case. In some instances, a dismissal will preclude further prosecution, and in others it will not. A dismissal without prejudice is a formal declaration of a record by the prosecutor that the government will not prosecute the current case further. It is a discharge without an acquittal and is not a bar to a subsequent prosecution for the same crimes. Okay, so I'm going to read it one more time just in case people are like, It is a discharge without an acquittal and is not a bar to a subsequent prosecution for the same crimes. This order is not the final disposition of a criminal case, but leaves the matter in the same condition as before the charges were filed. This is interesting. Let me know what you think about those last two sentences. Okay. Colorado rules mirror the federal rules on this subject. A dismissal properly taken under Federal Rule 48A is without prejudice, and within the period of the statute of limitations, a second indictment or information may be brought on the same charge. Again, they give some case law. In fact, federal case law recognizes that there is a presumption in favor of dismissal without a prejudice over a dismissal with prejudice. The mere fact that a dismissal without prejudice leaves the door open to hypothetical future prosecution in this jurisdiction is not tantamount to prosecutorial harassment. Were that the case, it is difficult to imagine when dismissal without prejudice would ever be appropriate. In small, the Colorado, okay, so now they're doing an example. In small, the Colorado Supreme Court dealt with the issue of a case being refiled after dismissal of charges without prejudice. Couched within a constitutional speedy trial argument, the court assessed the reason for the delay in prosecution. The court made factual findings that the dismissal of charges was here sought to allow further investigation of the underlying crime and to avoid putting the defendant in criminal jeopardy on evidence of uncertain credibility. The motion was, in other words, in keeping with the prosecutor's duty to seek justice. A prosecutor has the discretion to seek the dismissal of charges pending further investigation of a case, even if a defendant may be somewhat prejudiced as a result. The court further held that where delay is the product of valid investigative or prosecutorial purpose, it is not chargeable against the government. Even after identical charges were refiled against the defendant based on new investigation, relevant speedy trial principles were not violated. Okay, so now I'm going to go and get into more specific with Barry. Okay. I hope you guys, if you guys are following, just let me know below. You might have to rewind again. Okay, I'm reading through you guys here. Who is asking to dismiss DA? The DA Linda Stanley is asking to dismiss. And we already know that the defense has asked for that. Now the DA is. And there's reasons in here that I've just got through the case law. We're on page 7. We got to go to 11. Okay. All right. Here we go. Good faith basis to dismiss. As an offer of proof, the people and law enforcement believe we are close to discovering the victim's body. The people were hopeful that the search for and the discovery of the victim's body would be concluded well before trial, but weather has complicated the efforts. So here, the interesting part is the people and law enforcement believe we are close to discovering Suzanne, but there's weather that complicated the efforts. This is what they're saying. Specifically, the area law enforcement has been focused on is in a remote and mountainous region nearby the Morphew residence. Okay, boom. I wonder what they have on that. So I'm reading all your guys' comments. I got to stick some up, don't I? So yes. Okay. So it says, this area received a significant amount of snow over the winter months before a search could be completed. To date, the area has 5 feet of snow concealing the location where the people believe Miss Morphew is located. As a result, the people cannot safely excavate this area and resolve this unanswered question. Now, imagine, okay, being the prosecution, you are hoping like heck that you find Suzanne Morphew before trial, right? You are hoping. It's been 2 years. Where the heck is she? And they're honing in into a mountainous area near the Morphew residence. They're saying the obstacle is this 5 feet of snow, and they're not able to search properly. Now, we're just on the cusp, right? Canada and Colorado, very, very similar, in my opinion, in weather and in, mountain ranges, very similar. So it's too bad that the trial wasn't like in July or August, right? You have all the snow melting. And if you remember, well, I know you guys will know if you followed this case, that Suzanne went missing in May, right? And so that was still cold. In the mornings, the ground was frozen at times. because it was still dipping below zero in near where Barry lived and Suzanne lived. So they're waiting, obviously, for snow melt. So this might be okay. Okay, let's keep going. You see where I'm talking, Jim? Yeah, Jim. And around there, in and around there. Okay. Dr. Edwards says, triangle theory of yours, trees that were planted, your observation due to research, dig up those trees. And you know what? In this mountainous area too, I remember we talked about a camera being behind Barry's house. He did a bunch of, he set up a trail cam. I can't remember which video I did it on. Maybe if one of our mods would be awesome to do the Connect the Dots series on Barry and put it in the comments, that would be awesome. That way, for those who are new, who hasn't seen my videos and my work, you can go and check that out and, putting these things together. Okay, so it says, by filing this motion, the people have complied with Rule 48A, a motion to dismiss submitted in writing, publicly available, proffered in open court, and accompanied by a statement summarizing the reasons for the action. Given the timing of this motion before trial, the defense does not need to consent and does not have standing to object. Interesting, right? The court need only resolve the question of whether or not this motion was filed in good faith, such that clear and convincing reasons exist which further the interests of justice for the public and the defendant. Issues related to speedy trial or any other outstanding litigation would not be relevant to the court's determination at this juncture. So it sounds like as long as they do that in good faith, they should be getting this dismissal, right? Okay. Are you sure you're not a PI, Miss Linda? No, I tried to do the course. Holy man, it was a snooze fest. For the very first one, it was like, I don't know if I could do this. And I'm pretty like follow through. It was brutal. But that was just the beginning, which is like, I don't know if I want to pay $500 for a course that was like my child could do. In the first round, it was bad. It was really bad. Not saying all courses are bad, but this one was not. It's just like, I don't think I can do it for a couple months like this. Okay, here we go. Okay, here, the people have presented sufficiently reliable good faith reasons to dismiss without prejudice. First, the people believe that we are close to locating the deceased victim's body. The people's fundamental responsibility in the criminal justice system is not to gain a conviction, but to further the truth-seeking process and ensure equal justice. In typical homicide cases, the fact of the victim's death is rarely at issue, but in a case such as this, the most influential fact of consequence is whether or not Ms. Morphew is deceased. Now, side note, the defense wanted this to be called a missing persons case, or they said, well, this is just a missing person case, not a death case, right? If the body proves to be there, further forensic examination could potentially inculpate or exculpate the defendant, which is incredibly important evidence for the jury to hear in determining the merits of the case. So if the body proves to be there, obviously they need further forensic examination and would see what comes with Suzanne. The unfortunate thing, or maybe fortunate thing, the unfortunate thing is, if a lot of the evidence has gone away. However, if he did take, a little extra step and she's more preserved than we would expect after 2 years, that would be interesting too. Anyway, given the need to conduct further investigation to resolve these issues, this is a good faith basis to dismiss the current indictment. Okay, so far, are you guys following? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Heather says, so much for my unicorn week. I said last week it was going to be a magical unicorn week. It was my birthday last Monday, and that's when we found out about Lori. And then I told Heather that it was going to be magical unicorn all week. But this might still be okay. Bedtime stories, is it bad that I have no faith in Colorado? Okay, but there's more. Okay, there's more. You guys are following? Good. Some are saying no. So, little tiny recap so far. What they're saying is we haven't found Suzanne yet. And that's one of the reasons. And the reason why they haven't been able to find her is because they're having issues with extreme weather. They believe Suzanne is in a mountainous area near the Morphew residence, and they're having a hard time, obviously, to find her because they can't go up and search. It's 5 feet of snow. They can't. That's the first reason. Okay, there's going to be more, I think. Yeah. All right, let's see. Second, when this case was filed, it was mainly premised on the defendant's motive to harm the victim, his sole access to the victim at the exact time she was last communicating with anyone by phone, and his consistent dishonesty with law enforcement, which came to light given the truck telematics, phone, and location data recovered. Now, I have gone through a bit of the affidavit in my videos, quite a bit, lots of timelines. And it has proven throughout the entire investigation numerous times, and this is a fact, numerous times, Barry has given different statements and they contradict what he says. And then there's the muddy kind of stories, right? Well, I turned left because there was an elk. There was a bull elk walking down the thing, and the investigators, like, you wouldn't even be able to see it from where he said he was turning off. So then there was the 400 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan his friend did, which is impossible. That was a minor thing, but but there was lots. There was something that happened to his bobcat that he said, oh, I forgot to tell them that I did a mechanical thing to my bobcat. So, oh, there we go. All right. So the judge officially dismissed it. Okay. Thank you, Heather. Thanks for the heads up. I'm a little behind because I'm reading it. So thank you for letting that know. Oh, thank you, Four Sons Mom. Happy belated birthday. Thank you. I know, another year older. My husband says I look like I'm in my 30s. I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it if I look late 30s. All right. So when I first got this morning, I was choked up. Okay, but I read through the documents. So it's not as bad as we think it could be, if that helps. Okay, now let's keep going. The court functionally excluded the people's best evidence to move forward in this case by severely limiting our experts' testimony. 14 out of 16 were excluded. So in my mind, that cripples the prosecution, right? You are relying on, at least a few, and now you only have 2 experts out of 16 that you were presented. And that had to do with sanctions. It says, even if the court were to partially reconsider its position on the need for such severe sanctions at this late hour, the people would still be left without several key expert witnesses initially endorsed. It cripples them. So not only they can't find Suzanne, and they're having to wait until the snow melts, which give another month or 2. In Canada, it takes some time too. Like even in June, you'll see still snow in the mountains. So I'm not sure about that area, but it doesn't warm up until end of May, right? Without the crucial evidence and without the victim's body, the people cannot move forward at this time in good faith. Ethics demand that prosecutors proceed to trial only in circumstances where a reasonable likelihood of success exists, which, given the court's current rulings and the uncertainty of any further rulings, is impossible to completely ascertain. This assessment of the remaining evidence is an additional good faith basis for this motion to dismiss without prejudice. So we're only on page 9. We still have a couple more to go. Don't leave. So we have not being able to find, and now this 14 out of 16 expert witnesses, they can't even include. So what are they going to even do? That's tough, right? That's tough. And don't forget, there was also in the last month or two, they were talking about, not everybody, but one agent said that he thought it was a little premature to arrest Barry. Now, we thought there'd be more that they would have, but perhaps they were also having hope that she would be found, right? Especially before trial. Okay, so okay, it says the ongoing investigation into the location of the body must be resolved to further the interests of the public. The public seeks a swift resolution of this case, but more than anything, seeks an indisputable answer as to whether or not Ms. Morphew is dead before her killer can be held accountable. That's interesting to me. This motion also protects the defendant as it spares him from a jury's fast approaching and potentially unfavorable verdict. The defendant's bond would be discharged and the case would be a nullity. In the event the case is refiled, the defendant retains all of his rights to further litigation and perhaps collateral estoppel on issues already decided. As such, the defendant's position would be no worse and perhaps even stronger should the case ever be refiled. That sucks. I want to highlight that part. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. Lottie says they have had 2 years. I don't believe they will make it any further. They're just protecting their egos with saying that they're making steps. Interesting. Interesting, right? She has to be found. In my opinion, this is the way it would only move forward, is she have to be found. There she is, right there. Elizabeth says, we all know what you did, Barry. None of us will forget. My heart hurts for now for Suzanne, and I'll keep my mouth shut on those daughters. Despicable. Thank you, Elizabeth. Nice to see you again. They're mentioned in here. So at the very end. Okay, so it says, the case law clearly articulates examples of bad faith, including bribery, not liking the victim, or disagreeing with the juror panel selected before trial, none of which are present here. This dismissal does not serve to harass the defendant in any way. Courts have consistently found that even refiling a case several times over is not enough to constitute harassment, and the mere act of dismissal is not enough to carry this burden. The procedure of dismissing without prejudice has been accepted in common law and statute for decades. More, it is a preferred means of proceeding when outstanding evidentiary questions exist. This dismissal places the case in a pre-filing posture and is no more harassing of the defendant than the circumstances before May of 2021. So let me highlight that part. Okay. Now, here's where it's interesting. And I didn't say there's page. Oh, okay, well, there's 10 pages to talk. It says here, victims' rights contact. The people spoke with Melinda Mormon, who is Suzanne's sister, the victim's sister and primary representative for the Mormon family. Ms. Mormon relayed her agreement with the motion to dismiss and expressed her wishes that we ultimately resolve absolutely whether or not her sister is dead prior to further prosecution. The people also spoke with Andrew and David Mormon, the victim's brothers. They are also in agreement with this motion. For obvious reasons, the people have not endeavored to speak with Macy or Mallory Morphew, but would be happy to hear their position in court. As such, given the ongoing investigation, the state of the evidence, and the position of the victims, the people ask this court to dismiss this case at this time. This dismissal is in the best interest of justice, the people, and defendant, and the public. And since then, Okay. Since then, it's been said that the judge agreed to it. Lee says, greetings from Poland. God bless you, Linda. Thank you. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Now hearing this document, I mean, when you first hear it, it's ridiculously shocking, right? And that doesn't feel like justice for Suzanne. However, we were down to the wire, right? 9 days until the start of trial was supposed to happen. And now it's not. But at the time, we're going, okay, where's Suzanne? Even I was saying, like, when I did this video, and check it out in my last one, it'll be in their Connecting the Dots series, I believe, with Barry Morphew. But if you just go to my channel, it'll be a couple ones back, and I talked about the trees. She has to be found. I mean, it's stronger case with Suzanne, right? If they can get some evidence. But it's disappointing at the same time. Now, I've said this before, Barry has some unsavory actions, regardless of Suzanne's case. Like in a separate case, not even a case, it should be a case. He's searching for 14-year-olds doing certain acts. And that's been proven into the affidavit. It's been given there that his searches are with young girls. Okay, they're not women, they're 14, 15-year-old grade 9 girls. So maybe that could be something that he gets charged with, child stuff. But that was only 3 days worth. So imagine his 53 years worth, or however long he's doing it. If he's doing it for 3 days, I'm pretty sure it's going to be for others. So I'm a little bit, bitter at that point, because that's not right. Okay. So, let's grab the update. I'm just going to wait to see if somebody could help me with the update on it. And we could read it. Maybe Lauren did it, Lauren Scharf, or maybe Ashley Franco. I don't see it. So somebody could put in the chat there. That would be a great help. Okay, a lot of people are saying fully expect him to run. Well, he had some pretty good freedoms. He got to live outside of where his ankle monitor didn't work. Got to live there. It worked when he went into Poncha Springs. Didn't work when he was, so he could do whatever he wanted to. No big deal. Dodie says he will leave the country now. A lot of you guys think he'll leave. Lisa says, I'm in shock. He did it. We need to look deeper into that triangle. They're guessing, the authorities are saying that they believe that she's behind the house in a mountainous area. So there was the cameras, like I said earlier today, there were cameras that he set up during the search that Andy Mormon did. Barry didn't go on the search. Barry didn't go to the what do you call it? The vigil, the prayer vigil. Barry didn't go to that either. And it's tough. You see what he's done just in his behavior in the past 2 years. And that on a good day is questionable. So I think that too, in ways, I think that's why Barry, in my opinion, why Barry stayed near the home, and he wanted to be near the home. Because I think even in death, he wants to control, my opinion. Let me know your opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what information they do have. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Hit the like button. Maybe not for the fact that this is dismissed, but that the information that you got was a solid information from me. It actually helps. If you guys could give the like button, it helps the little algorithm to say, hey, you know what? Linda gives some quality work and she gives the details. So that would, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, so reports are going all over the place. I'm just waiting to see the information from the judge, but I'm being told that, yeah, it was actually. And in the motion that I read, you will have heard me say that the defense didn't need to argue it. Okay, so I'll just give you the highlighted spots so you guys just have that recap. It is a discharge without an acquittal, and it is not a bar to a subsequent prosecution for the same crimes. It's not the final disposition of a criminal case, but leaves the matter in the same condition as before the charges were filed. So if they find her and they need to recharge Buddy, then they will. In fact, federal case law recognizes that it is a presumption in favor of dismissal without prejudice over a dismissal with prejudice. And then I also have the area law enforcement has been focused on is in a remote and mountainous region nearby the Morphew residence. And I have it somewhere about, given the timing of this motion before trial, the defense does not need to consent and does not have standing to object. They believe they're close to locating Suzanne. And also pretty much for, you know, at the basic level, they feel that they feel that that they're going to be crippled pretty much in court. 14 out of 16 expert witnesses were denied by the judge. And so they left them with two. What kind of trial can you have with two witnesses, in my opinion? I mean, that's huge. It says, the court functionally excluded the people's best evidence to move forward in this case by severely limiting our experts' testimony. It says, without this crucial evidence and without the victim's body, the people cannot move forward at this time in good faith. Ethics demand that prosecutors proceed to trial only in circumstances where a reasonable likelihood of success exists, which, given the court's current rulings and the uncertainty of any further rulings, is impossible to completely ascertain. So they can refile. This is not necessarily over. When we first heard it, it was like, oh. Now, the family of Suzanne, her sister, her brothers agree to this. And they have not spoken to Macy or Mallory about it. A lot of people are saying that he'll leave. Okay, so. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Four Sons Mom. Thank you. Now, okay, what else? There was something I wanted to say about that when I was reading it, and it was important. It had to do with some of the stuff that they had. Shoot, I had it. The ongoing investigation of the location of the body must be resolved. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Okay. Back when they were searching, they found that there was cadaver dog hits in several places. And for some reason, they didn't dig further. I don't know why. I'd love to know more details about that because it's very odd. Also, in the affidavit was really interesting is a cadaver dog hit on the bobcat. And it also said that the cadaver dog went as far as going into the bobcat and sitting down on where the seat is. But yet, it said they don't think it's related to the case. So, who's the dead person that the cadaver dog is hitting on? There's some oddities in this case. There's some weird things. And we saw time and time again things even happening in court and then stripping away 14 out of 16 witnesses. That's crazy to me, but so I'm just going to switch my one sec, you guys. Hang tight. Talk amongst yourselves what you think about that cadaver stuff. I am going to just switch the title of this quickly, obviously, because it is different. I changed it to the motion, and now let's see if I could do that. Thank you guys for being patient. Whew, what a morning. Right? Okay, done. Okay, Lauren. Okay, let's see. I don't see it. All right. It's terrible news for sure. Yeah, his case is basically dismissed. He's not going to trial. The district attorney feels that they would have a hard time fighting it with only 2 witnesses out of 16 that they wanted. And they haven't found Suzanne's body, but they say that they feel that they're getting close to finding her. Mandy says, so glad I got to catch a live. Thank you, Linda, for all your hard work and dedication to these cases. I love your spice too. I'm spicy. Thank you, Mandy. I am a little spicy. All right, here we go. I'm just getting a couple links. I can't do anything with YouTube. I don't want to stream somebody else's thing that's not right. But I can, if you guys have some news, that would be great, and then we can bring it in. Okay. There we go. 723 likes. There we go. Thank you, everybody. That's appreciate it. Okay, people are quite upset. I'm seeing you guys going, what? Yeah, they dismissed it. It's yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's what it says in the...
What's up, guys? Bang, bang. A few years ago, I read somewhere that sleep was nature's best medicine. 30% of Americans are...
I don't want anything coming up that would get me in trouble for music or whatever. Okay. Fremont County District Judge Ramsey Lama granted a motion filed Tuesday by prosecutors that asked to dismiss the murder case against Barry Morphew, who is charged with first-degree murder in connection with May 2020 disappearance and presumed death of his wife, Suzanne. District Attorney Linda Stanley filed the motion that asked Lama to dismiss the case without prejudice, meaning charges could be filed again at a later date. In court Tuesday morning, Morphew's defense team said they were reviewing options and might move to ask Ramsey to reject the motion and instead dismiss the case in a way that would not allow for new charges. Well, of course, they're going to do that, right? Ultimately, Ramsey granted the prosecution's motion. Prosecutors said in their motion that they and law enforcement believe they're close to the discovery of Suzanne's body, which is what I read. According to the motion, they've been focused on a remote and mountainous region near the Morphew residence that is currently covered in 5 feet of snow. Morphew was arrested on murder charges on May 5th, 2021, almost a year after Suzanne was last seen on Mother's Day 2020. Morphew was originally charged with first-degree murder, tampering with a deceased human body, tampering with physical evidence, possession with a dangerous weapon, attempt to influence a public servant. His trial had been set to April 28th. Prosecutors said if Suzanne's body was indeed located, examination of it could provide evidence to potentially implicate or rule out Barry Morphew. The motion to dismiss comes after the judge handed down sanctions on the prosecution team April 8th, stating in an order that they were significant but warranted sanctions given their record of compliance with the court. The sanctions excluded 12 of the 14. Well, that's weird. I thought it was 14 out of 16. Weird. I could have swore. The sanctions included 12 of the prosecution's 14 endorsed expert witnesses, ordering that they not be allowed to testify at the trial in their capacity as experts. And so then they list all these experts. The motion filed Tuesday says the court excluded their best evidence to move forward with its sanctions. That evidence included data from a truck, phone, and GPS location data. Prosecution said even if the court reconsidered its reposition on that, they would still be without key expert witnesses. Morphew's defense team accused the prosecution team of committing discovery violations, stating that the people failed to comply with the case management order. The defense attorney argued the prosecution didn't turn over all expert-related materials in the case. The record indicated a continuing pattern by the prosecution to fail to comply with obligations under Rule 16, which is their obligation to turn over discovery ahead of trial. The judge wrote their actions amount to negligent and arguably reckless disregard of the rule and subsequent orders. The prosecution filed a motion on April 11th, last week, that asks the judge to reconsider his order in regard to experts. The record says the exclusion of this witness damages their case in a profound way. It continues by excluding the most damaging impeachment information against the defendant, cell phone data, truck telematics, and GPS locations. The court has imposed sanctions tantamount to dismissal, with the defendant suffering a complete windfall. The motion reads, these experts and their testimony are critical to the people's case. Isn't that crazy? That the very thing that basically would be important to the whole case is cell phone data, truck telematics, all these facts and GPS locations, yet they're not allowed. In the motion, prosecutors state that their case relies heavily on evidence of Morphew's motive to harm his wife, the opportunity he alone and had as he was the last person to see Suzanne live alive, the inconsistencies in his statements to law enforcement, and the ultimate cover-up he perpetrated the day after and in the following months. The defense team filed a response to the prosecution's motion to reinstate the experts. So yeah, and then it talks about the
What's up, guys? Bang, bang.
I just have to say it loud enough so that it doesn't come up and I don't get in trouble. So there we have it. So, not great news, but maybe good news if they could find Suzanne. That's the key, is they got to find Suzanne for numerous reasons. And number one, helping the family have some closure. And number two, hopefully that if and when they do find Suzanne, and maybe they are honing in, that she'll come with evidence of some sort. Yes, the case is dismissed. But they have a chance this way of coming back. This case is dismissed without prejudice, so they can come back and go through this whole process again. That's my understanding. And so maybe this is their best move. Eaton said in her press conference that they will never find the body. Isn't that interesting? That would have been on the news, right? Can you side message me, Heather, where you saw that so I could put that up on here? Yeah, boom, there you go. Exactly. This is what I've been saying for the past hour. So this might be an opportunity. Darby, I see that you have, where are you? There you are. Darby says, I have faith that they will find Suzanne and he will be retried. It's better this way. We just have to be patient. I feel like you're right, for sure. Thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. I think this might be a blessing, because what if, okay, 9 days from now, they did go into court. They don't have the experts that they wanted. They don't have Suzanne's body. And that doesn't give them much of a solid case, right? It's already tough without a body. So maybe this is the blessing. So it's dismissed. They can come back. And maybe then it'll be a stronger case. It's very sad, but they can go back. Mimi also has put, thank you so much for that, to go to the playlist. Yeah, that's what it's saying. No cell phone, no telematics, and no GPS. Well, what do you have? That's your best shot, right? Well, cell phone placed you here. Telematics placed you here. Miss Lily says, this is truly sad, and I still cannot believe the hate I have witnessed with the daughters towards the memory of the mom. This is heartbreaking. This is my question too. The evidence is legit. Why would they dismiss that? I don't know how that happened. I'd like to know more about how all these witnesses got dismissed. Someone's asking about the voter fraud. Barry decided to vote for Trump in Suzanne's name. He thought it was fine to do, even though she was gone. Barry doesn't have, in my opinion, a high moral compass. Yes, he can be retried. So it's kind of like a postponement, let's just say. Yeah, I think a lot of, you know what I keep thinking about? I keep thinking about him and his little smile. You know, you see he's just so much smiles in court. I keep thinking about how he's smiling today. What do you guys think? That's what I think. You know how he's just smiling and he's just like, he puffs his chest out, right? He's smiling, he's going in court. Tea time for me. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you, Linda, for breaking down this news for us. It's hard to take, but I believe that this is what is best for Suzanne. I think maybe this gives a shot, right? It gives a shot. Thank you so much for your super chat. It gives a shot. I think that's the best hope at this point. Pippa says, this is a blessing. A new judge would be better for the prosecution. The judge seemed a little biased in my humble opinion. It's a little weird. I find the whole thing, the whole year, well, 2 years is weird, but the year in court, there's just some weird things. Even in the preliminary, what I found bizarre is the defense took up most of the time. And in the preliminary, that doesn't usually happen, but they just chewed up so much time. There's just some oddities. It's just different, but I don't know. Maybe this is a blessing that Suzanne's like almost found. They're just waiting for the snow to melt. That's what it sounds like. So the only thing that was accomplished here was Suzanne's sins being aired out. Bear must be on top of the world. This is what I was thinking about, is the smile he has. He's puffing out his chest today. However, it's so interesting, even in things like Dateline and 2020, or what all the ones that were specialized this case. So interesting about how much Suzanne cheated, but yet there was nothing on Barry. And he was searching for 14-year-old girls who were doing, you know what type of acts, okay? And it shows his searches. Nobody mentions it. How about the fact that he was the one who's searching Ashley Madison? How about the fact that he was doing this celebrity jihad site? But nobody mentions it. But let's do it all on Suzanne. Do I think it's right that she cheated? No, but that's my own personal moral compass. But Barry did the same thing. And at the same time, when I look at Suzanne, she's put up with a lot from what we saw. Just based on her writing notes and her texting, that home life was not good. And I could see her moving out there and going, you know what? He's doing it. I'm going to do it too. She's thought that for years. And ladies, you know in your gut, if you think your husband's cheating, he probably is. 9 times out of 10, if you feel that and something's coming up in your gut, vice versa too. Men, same thing. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Susanna, how she feels, right? But I think the same thing. If a man goes, I think my woman's cheating, 9 times out of 10, probably is. Maybe it's 8 out of 10, whatever. Your gut doesn't lie. And then some just make it up, right? Perhaps that's what they're doing. Thanks, Talon. Thank you so much. So it's crazy. The smile. Yeah, let's not forget about the bleach as well. The bleach smell wasn't just at the hotel. The bleach smell was also in the home. We can't forget about that. Isn't that interesting? Thank you, CDC Dogs. Can't wait until we wipe the smile off his face. I know he's smiling today. He has his chest puffed up. But Barry has a pattern. Barry can't help his pattern, right? He can't help his pattern. And so, I don't know. Maybe it's just a matter of time. Yep. We got some Italian going on in the house tonight or this morning. Yep. We're going to save the F-bombs till next time too. Oh, this isn't done. This isn't done. Let's hope it's not done. Suzanne be found. If they're honing in on a spot, would love to know, obviously, what they know and why they believe she's over there. I would love to dig into that. Maybe it's something we can do if you guys would like. Fiona says, it needs to be done properly. I never want to see another Casey Anthony-like result. Agreed. Thank you, Fiona. Nice to see you. Maybe it was rushed a year ago, but maybe he was going to flee. I don't know. There's chitter chatter about everything. Did you know he purchased 3 trees? He purchased 3 trees around the time Suzanne went missing. And he discarded a pot from a tree in Broomfield. It's interesting, right? Why would you carry that all the way to Broomfield? Oh, he said he was just getting rid of stuff, but he went to 5 different dumpsters. That's also in my playlist. So, and he made multiple clothing changes that day. Smuggy the bear. Sorry, guys, for my cough. All right. Thanks, Audrey. I do my best. I do try. So that's where we're at. We had this morning also Chad Daybell, and then at 1 p.m. we have Lori. That's not going to be live streamed. And neither was Chad's. And usually we see Chad's on Zoom, but we don't see that either. So it sucks that we are blind to this stuff to see. But I do believe Nate Eaton and a bunch of others have submitted that they can record in court. So we'll hear, later today. So you might hear from me later. Sarah says, you Italian, Linda? Yes, my mother is Italian. My father is partial, just a little bit Italian, but he's Maltese. Michael says, too many things don't add up in this case. BM's a narcissist. He has committed the perfect crime. He sure prepared for it. We need a miracle to get this resolved. Otherwise, we will ask St. Peter at Pearly Gates who did it. This is interesting. It brings up a point, too, that Bear didn't want to do what's the word? Polygraph. And I believe, I got to get the exact wording. So don't quote me exactly, but I believe in the affidavit, because I have like a ton of it. He said something about he didn't think he'd pass one. Let me see if I could find it, because that might be yeah, I can search it. One sec. Let's see if I can find it. I hate that he's smirking, though. I can tell you that. I know he's puffing his chest up right now. And there's nothing to puff his... Okay. So one of the statements, it says, this is the footnote in the affidavit. It says, Barry was asked to voluntarily submit to a polygraph examination, which he declined and said he would think about it. Said he, quote, didn't want to do anything that wasn't 100% accurate, quote. He also said they weren't admissible in court. Then there's another area. It says, on the third or fourth night after Suzanne went missing and Barry had been complaining about law enforcement's focus being solely on him, Andrew went to speak with a friend of his who lives nearby and is a defense attorney. The attorney listened to Andrew and he gave Andrew his business card to give to Barry. He told Andrew that Barry needed to take the polygraph test so law enforcement could focus somewhere else. Andrew took the card and gave it to Barry, explaining his conversation with the attorney. Barry was very excited to get the card and grateful for Andrew's referral. However, when Andrew told Barry the attorney recommended that he take a polygraph, Barry looked at Andrew and said, I don't think I'd pass a polygraph. Andrew waited in uncomfortable silence for a few moments to allow Barry to qualify his statement. Andrew told agents he got chills from Barry's response and thought Barry's reaction was very strange. When Barry said nothing else, Andrew awkwardly told him he had to go and he left. Now, Andrew has known Barry. Let me just read this. They had met Suzanne, Andrew met Suzanne through church in 2018. And they went to dinner at Barry's house. This is the same guy who was at dinner, and Barry announced that one of his daughters was a virgin and there are no other virgins at Western State. It says the statement was odd to Andrew and Lara for multiple reasons and seemed more like a declaration than a conversation. Isn't that interesting? Who wants to talk about their child at a dinner table with other people being a virgin? A little odd, don't you think? But I guess, when he searches for 14-year-olds and wants to see them perform sexual acts, that's the type of guy Barry is and proves to be. Okay, now I'm getting spicy. It also says, let me see. Okay, I read that I don't think I'd pass the polygraph. Special Agent Harris offers again that Barry could take a polygraph. Barry said that he would pray about it and that he needs to get going. Barry tells agents to be careful going back. The interview ends. Okay, so that's the 4 points. We got to make that, it's an interesting point, right? Good Grandma says, watch those trees. Yeah, a lot of you are in shock. I know. I was pretty upset when I first found out, and then I read through. Love spicy, Linda. Brian says, anyone who can kill 85 chipmunks is amazing to me. Where are the chipmunks? What does he do with them after he kills them? Where do they go? Does he bury them? Because he likes to bury things. Barry likes to, well, that's his job, is burying things like tree roots. And he buried furniture in his yard before moving to Salida. In Indiana, he buried furniture and other things, and he's been known to bury money. Everybody's saying he ate them. Yeah, he buried furniture. And so his pattern, he likes to bury things, money, furniture, and then he puts alfalfa on the top, which grows fast, right? So I had wondered in my videos if perhaps Barry did some more digging. He also skinned several raccoons since he was a child or a teen, very early. He enjoys it. An article came out about foliage when a dead body is decomposing. It affects on the plants. Those people at the body farm, they can tell exactly. You know what? I just did a video on it. I'll give you the video. I literally just did this video about the body farm. And it's a video that I've been wanting to do about a year. And I was hoping, you know, to get it out before, which I did. So I'm going to give you guys the, where did it go here? I'll give you the link for it because it's fascinating. You'll learn about the trees. You'll learn about how this is important and what they're trying to do. I know, right? Some people say that they will bury their furniture because it's expensive to go to the dump. If I did that in our yard, I'm sure there'd be cops coming to see, like, you can't do that. I don't know how they could do that, but Brenda says, because it's dirty money, that's why he has to bury it. It's how he pays his bills on the side for other people. Just my thoughts. Thank you for your opinion. So, three trees theory, love it. Well, it's too bad that the ankle monitor didn't work because I think that Barry wanted to be near his wife. I think he wanted to, even after death, be in control of where she was. And that's why I think she's been near. I've said this for 2 years, that it's in around the triangle. And so they believe it's in a mountainous area near the Morphew residence. Wonder what they have. Wish I had that information to connect. Somebody says, this body in the mountain is ridiculous. No way can a single man hide a body in a rush in the same ground that a team of people can access with lots of tools and time. Apparently, so stupid. You know, here's the theory that I had brought up, okay? Because I agree that she wouldn't be high up a mountain. The reason why I say that is the time that Suzanne went missing, it was chilly in the nighttime, like in the middle of the night and the morning. The ground would be more frozen. So, in my opinion, well, it would be, that's fact. But in my opinion, that's why I don't think he went high up, because the higher you go, the harder it is, right? Now, don't forget, there was the sound of the bobcat too. And Barry has a habit. Now, this is why I brought in the theory of the fire. Some people don't understand the connection of that. They don't understand why I'm talking about it, but I talk about it for a bunch of reasons. Number one, he doesn't want us to look there. He said that in his video with Tyson. Don't look over there. That's already been looked at. And the triangle, don't go there. And the road behind the house, don't go there, right? So when I looked in surrounding areas, to the west of the Morphew house is where the fire happened. Barry was on site of that fire that afternoon. He had just found out, he had just speculated that Suzanne had a boyfriend. Maybe he found out, but we know that she said he had said that she accused her of having a boyfriend, okay? So with the fire, a couple things occur with me. Okay, number one, fire gets hot. Fire heats the ground, right? Barry's fighting that fire. Well, guess how the fire supposedly started? It started with a branch on a power line. How'd the branch get on the power line? I looked at the area. It confuses me. So in the initial report, it said that the branch was human caused. You know what's interesting? Barry's cell phone records show that he was on the phone for it was either 11 seconds or 30 seconds. The same time, and he hung up, like it was just like he did a series of phone bombing, let's just say, okay, and doesn't stay on. It was 11 or 30 seconds. I can't remember which one. I'll have to review. But the exact same time that he did that for those seconds was the same minute that this fire was started and reported. Don't you find that interesting? So then I thought, okay, this is weird, right? Barry was working, he comes home, all this fire's going, and now he's fighting the fire. Well, this fire was huge. It wasn't tiny. Nobody talked about this freaking fire. I was looking and looking. It took me a year. I get a report from the fire department, and it shows that initially it said human caused. It then changes to say, no, it wasn't. But this branch fell on this power line. There's two sets of power lines. Don't even know. There's a bigger one, a higher one, and a lower one, okay? This fire's huge, massive. So it's interesting to me that this fire happened from this branch, like a minute away from Suzanne Morphew's house. So my thought was, well, the ground would be warmer and nobody would go to that area because it's burnt. It just burned on Monday. So was that in preparation for Saturday? Was that something that there was more of a premeditation in his mind? He likes to bury. Could that bobcat go over there? Did it bury something? And don't forget, now, when things are burned, sometimes stuff grows super fast because of the soil and whatnot, right? So are you guys following what I'm saying? Like, is it making more sense? Because some people are like, I don't understand the fire, Linda. I don't get it. What if he started that fire? What was his plans? And was the ground, would it be warm still? Because it goes really hot? Maybe not, but maybe so. Maybe he already was digging during the week. Nobody would go back there. It was burnt. And he's known to grow stuff over top. You see? So was it, what kind of trees did he buy? Was that the perfect spot? He knew to dig down. Now, let me see. I'm going to show you guys because also in my, oh, maybe it might be in the affidavit. One sec, because I'm just going to do a search. I love that I can search this thing. Okay, listen to this. When questioned about the job sites on Saturday, May 9th, Morgan stated she recalled an odd comment made by Barry. Morgan explained after they completed the beach at the River House, she rode with Barry to the next site. So this is Saturday morning before she died. Morgan stated she commented pigs could eat an entire human body in 2 hours. Barry commented that he would be able to bury a body and it would never be found. Okay, so he knows how to do it. Now, he also, in the affidavit, was listening to forensic files. Interestingly, one of the examples was a woman, or I think it was a child missing on a bike. Okay, so he knows how to bury, he's a firefighter, and he's also an expert tracker. Now, an expert tracker can also know how to bury how to get rid of tracks, right? They know how to do that. So he has this triple threat. And think about it, right? Now, okay, so these are the things that I think about. Now we have a controller, right? I think most of you can agree he's a controlling man. Even Suzanne said, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. So you take a controlling man who potentially could find out this terrible information that Suzanne's having an affair. Well, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. So he decides, And now what's he going to do? You're going to get him mad. He's going to be raging mad. So now what happens is, okay, either you're premeditating this stuff and you're lying, because obviously there's a bunch of lies in the affidavit. You can't deny that. It just, he says one thing and it changes during the whole investigation, and they noted it. So now you got a man who finds out potentially that his wife is cheating on him. He's going to lose his marbles because nobody does that to Barry Morphew. And he seems, in my opinion, the type of guy that would be on the outside. Everybody has to make sure everything is good. It's all good. We're a happy little family, right? Inside, different case. So now this is not good. So obviously weird stuff. Barry's acting weird. He's coming home. He's going to scope out the turkey area, which is now on the east side of the house. So in a week, he's been the west side, right? And now he's been to the east side by Saturday. And then when Andy Mormon went to do the search in September, 4 months after Suzanne went missing, he's in the back putting up cameras and he's not searching. Well, what you protecting, Bear? Then he goes to court. He gets this monitor that doesn't work, and he wants to stay exactly where his house is, right near there. But he doesn't want to live anywhere else, even though he has opportunity and it'd be smarter for him. And he has restraining orders from numerous people. They have restraining orders, but he plants himself right in there because I think he wants to see her. Okay, so there's so much to him. And these types of people, in my opinion, get away with things. I've seen it. Now, if that is correct, then of course he'll know the way to do it. He's a firefighter. He knows how to fight a fire. He knows what happens in the woods. He's a hunter. He knows how to hunt. He knows how to skin. He knows to do all these things. And he's, well, I'm not going to say much of a baseball player, are you, Barry? But he has a few skills. And Andy Mormon says he's an expert tracker. So, yeah, I can't get past this either. The dog hitting on the bobcat, but yet it's not part of it. Don't get it. Hello, Ken. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. You see, so it's all around that triangle. Now, interesting, around the triangle too, just a little bit northeast of the house, near the edge of the highway, or yeah, you guys call it a highway too, freeway? Right there, there's an old brothel that used to be, oh gosh, what's the name of the town? I can't believe I forgot the name of the town. It's a little ghost town. right to the west of it is where Cadaver Dog hit. So he's making sure, don't you go in here, don't you search that. I searched the triangle really good. Why would you call it a triangle? Why would you call it a triangle, right? I mean, this is the interesting part. If you're going to put a border on there, I don't know. That to me is weird in itself. Would I ever visit there? Yes, I would, but Barry couldn't know. Let's just put it that way. He's not a fan of me because I've called his number since the get-go. People were so ticked off when I first did his video on his expression. You know what's interesting about that? I did his 30-second video and I said what I thought. And a year later, the behavior panel said it, and it was almost the same. But people are so angry. I got death threats from that. You know, it was like, I see what I see. I know this guy's number. I'm not going to stop. Unfortunately, I wish I knew more of the information, something. I think he was planning this for a long time. He knows exactly what he would do. Thanks, Margaret. You're welcome. Thank you for joining me. We got 1,500 friends hanging out this morning. It sucks to find this information, but at the same time, there's still hope because he can be charged again. So if there's not an acquittal, we're good. Okay. I did receive the report from the fire department. The exact location, they gave the GPS coordinates of the fire, which I did in, I think, 2 or 3 videos. Somebody who's watched, you could let me know. I can't remember. These are all run together. But I did that. I have the report that's in my videos. You can see that. And it's not a crazy comprehensive report that they do, but it is a report. So we know that it shows Barry was on scene. He was a volunteer firefighter and on there. And I'd love to know who started that puppy. That's for sure. It said human caused and then it changed. So I don't know. I am on his arse. I can't. It just these bug me so bad. Oh yeah, this case is probably up there with the CW case. When I first came out, people were so mad at me about Barry. I can't help it. I'm not going to say something that I don't see. If I see it, I'm going to see it. When I first start a case, I'm pretty neutral. And then as I start going and going, this isn't right. What's over here? This isn't right. What's over here? And there we are. It's not over. I'm not from Minnesota, I'm from Canada. It's probably very similar. Although I've been told my husband sounds more from Minnesota than I do. You guys think that Bear's going to run. I know a lot of you guys said that. So triangle and 3 trees. Oh, man, I wish I would have a little more information. If you guys know, okay, this is me pleading. If you guys know where the 3 trees are or were planted, I will be super grateful. Like, I'm talking about the location, unless, or one of them, even if you know one of them and where it is, what type of tree it is, I would be super grateful. The fire spot is blocked and saying no trespassing now. Isn't that interesting? Yes, Lori, I had that in a video. I did a video recently on that. Barry likes to bury is what it's called. I'll write down the title. Barry likes to bury. And I'll get you the information on that. That I put up. Oh, it was my chitter chatter video. Yeah. And I talk about it. I'm going to give you the link. So if you're just joining me, basically the case got dismissed in the Barry Morphew case without prejudice. So that means that Barry's not acquitted. It means that Barry could be going through this whole process again. The DA feels that they'd have a tough time because I thought it was 14 out of 16, but apparently 12 out of 14 expert witnesses were not allowed. They got sanctioned. The prosecution got sanctioned. And so they only had like 2 witnesses they could, what do you call it? Bring to the stand. And they also, that means they couldn't bring up phone information, GPS, and truck telematics, which is ridiculous because that's pretty much, it's the evidence that you want to be submitting. It's just dumb. You couldn't bring any experts on that. The other thing is they haven't found Suzanne. They believe they know in the area where she is, but they said that there's 5 feet of snow. It's hard to get to her. And so that's the obstacle. Yes, that's the hope. So maybe it's just a matter of a little more time to find her. That's a huge obstacle. That's not easy when you're looking in snow too, right? I wonder though, I'd be fascinated to find out about snow and the study with the body farm and how that works. Thank you, Rose. Thumbs up if you guys are, appreciating the in-depth details on the channel. I would appreciate it. It does send some happy vibes to YouTube and helps this types of information to get out there. It's a weird thing. Psycho bodies as trophies. Thanks, Felisa. Hopefully I said your name. I think I said it right. Thank you, butterfly kisses. So there we are. Hi, Brent. Nice to see you again. Thank you so much. Brent's been pretty invested in Suzanne's case too. So I'll have more information. I mean, this was a hot, this morning I'm looking at my planner and it says Barry Morphew at 9, Chad Daybell at 9, and then also Lori Daybell at 1. They're not televised, but I know after we're going to be finding that information. And then I get this document and I'm going, what is going on? We're so close to trial. So it's just going to be a little bit different. All right. Oh, you guys are doing all the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. That's awesome. Okay. This channel helps me decompress my brain from writing my PhD thesis. Well, I'm happy to help. Some people are like, oh, I could just go to sleep. Or I listen to your crime stories to go to sleep. Like, well, I hope I don't bore you. We won't stop. Thank you, Shelby, for the reminder, and thank you for the super chat. We won't stop. I'm going to find out a little bit more and see if I can start connecting some more dots. But I wish I had more information. Yeah, actually, he's on camera. Let It Be Summer says, is it true pics were taken of Barry throwing things in dumpsters? There's surveillance, and he went to 5 different dumpsters. And he made, I can't remember how many clothing changes. It was 4 or 5 clothing changes as well that day. Just a little busy beaver. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much. Make sure I got all you guys here. Kim C says, I actually caught a live stream live. Yay! Thanks, Kim C. Welcome. I'm so glad you guys can join me this morning. It's been crazy. I hope there's some, information that can creep up in the next couple weeks, maybe probably a month. They're gonna have to wait till the snow melts. And so let's just see what the Salida temperature is and see if because it's still going to be colder in higher elevations, right? But I'm curious if they're going to start getting, of course, okay, wait, let me check to Fahrenheit. So it's starting to warm up, but then it's going to go down. It's like 73s, 77, and then it's going to go down to 50, 57, 68. So higher up still. That seems warmer than what it was 2 years ago. It got pretty low. Yeah, Tara, I see you're going to email me. That'd be great. Please let me, please email me. It's a crime and a shame at gmail.com. Nancy, have you ever seen? Yes, I have. I appreciate your super chat. There's been an issue in the past regarding, I don't want to say too much, so I'm not going to, but I haven't visited that for, I don't know, 2 years, I think it was. I don't want to say too much about the reason why I don't talk about her anymore. So I won't, but I appreciate it. I know your heart's in the right place. And I will say she did an excellent job back in the Tylee and JJ, but from there I can't talk about her. So thank you so much, Nancy. I know your heart's in the right place. MH says, sending tons of love from South Africa. Thank you. A lot of places this morning. We got Ireland, Poland, the States, Canada, and South Africa. And Em Witter's become a new member. Welcome aboard the crime ring. Chippy Hick, I saw you the other day. I think it was it on the live stream? I saw you somewhere. It was awesome. I was like, oh, I haven't seen the Chippy Hick for a long time. Just tuned in. This is sickening. My heart goes out to the Mormon family, praying for justice for Suzanne. Yes, we won't stop. Like the hashtag, right? That I said years ago, we won't stop. So thank you so much, Chippy Hick. I think the Mormons, they made that decision too, that this was best. And I think they want their sister to be found, and they want justice however that looks. But, you know, if they're going to have a hard time, big battle, then no one wins that, right? On this side. Estonia, cool. One of the trees is planted on his mom's new splash of property. Okay, Sydney, Australia, awesome. Well, if you guys haven't seen my playlist or haven't seen my Barry videos or Suzanne, please check them out. If it's been a while, it's good to go back and do a little refresher. You'll see some things that, you know, the affidavit says and some of the connection of dots. So let's all go fund a permanent private eye. Well, thinking of GoFunding, for the GoFundMe, who here got ripped off by Barry Morphew on the GoFundMe account? Say aye. Aye. Damn, I thought you were 30. No, I'm older. I'm older. Fiona, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, Fiona. Or I have, but you know, it's good to see you again today. Well, I've seen you twice today, but thank you so much. Let's hope Barry trips on a chipmunk. Yeah, granted without prejudice. Without. So there's a chance that they get to do this again. Melonbug says, thanks for all you do. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Okay, everybody's coming in. They're going, what happened? Wonder if BM started the cabin fire to test fire department's reaction time so he would know how fast they get there in case he decided to burn something else. Well, that's an interesting question. One of the things was Barry was a volunteer firefighter since the fall of 2018, and he would know the response times because he was a volunteer firefighter for that, and it was pretty close. But maybe maybe there was a test, or maybe it was for the ground, or maybe it was nothing. But it is interesting. And he didn't want Tyson to go check down there because that was searched, he said, real good. Yeah, Mimi, that's what somebody's saying is one of the trees was on the property. Paul says, hi, Linda, it's Paul from England. Hello, Paul. Do you think they know the location or said this to get the without prejudice? I will be sending some statement analysis on the affidavit interviews. Awesome. If you can send me that, that would be awesome, Paul. Do you think they know the location or said this to get the without prejudice? Well, okay, this is interesting. I wonder that. I have believed in the last 2 years that she's in and around the triangle. Whether it's outside of it, inside of it, there's something going on with this triangle. That's where I was talking. I was searching about the fire, and then on the other side and the behind where the camera was. I don't know. Part of me thinks they wouldn't be so specific about where they believe she is. But it's not the only thing they said, right, to get the without prejudice. So they also showed, the other part where, the testimony and all this other stuff, that they couldn't get their expert witnesses. So good question. And now we have England on the map for today. Australia, England, Estonia, Poland, America. Welcome. So great question. What do you think? Here's my email. I'll put that in here. And then if you need to email me, that would be awesome. Oh, Heather has it. There you go. Thank you so much. Thanks to my mods today. They're awesome. They're always awesome. I don't know why they didn't search under the trees, because the cadaver dog hit. I don't know. I want to know that too. And Ireland, yes. Found my 4 times great-grandfather there. You bet, Paul. Thanks. Thanks for the question. Thank you. All right, so crazy stuff happening, you guys. But do you feel better? Let me know in the comments. Do you feel better a little bit knowing that it's without prejudice and that there's a chance, still a chance, right? I feel a little better about that. I'm thinking maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Maybe it's just something she has to be found, and then they start from all over again, I'm one of us, yeah. And we can't forget about France. That's right. Of course. France as well. I don't know what kind of trees. This is what I'm trying to find out. I'd like to know what kind of trees. And it's interesting in my video that I did with the body farm, how they're seeing how, okay, they're studying the microbiomes in us, right? And once we die, they turn into this they call it necro, obviously, because you're dead. But these fluids and nutrients basically come out of us, and they go into the soil, and they get a blast of nutrients and nitrogen. So they're studying what happens when a body dies around the foliage. What does it do? And they're saying it affects the chlorophyll, which gives the leaves its color, and all these things. So they're studying it. But what they're also studying is also little nuances, like what if a person was smoking? What if they were a smoker? How does that affect the environment? How does that affect the foliage? And so I had said in my video, well, maybe it also would be interesting to find out how that would affect with maybe a person with cancer, and their cells is different, right? And the microbiomes and all that. So it's fascinating. I do recommend going there. It wasn't on a specific case. I had just used Barry as an example, and also Justin Evans. So it's just the generality of what this body farm is doing for studies, and they've been doing it for a couple years, and they are hoping that law enforcement can use a drone and fly over and see these changes and try and hone in on areas of a missing person, which I find it fascinating. Ken says, it's crime. I wonder, would Morgan or one of the other workers know where what the trees were? Possibly. They offer to bury people in a tree. Root balls is one of the new ways I've seen. I had that in my last video too. They're doing it like a pod almost. They put the tree on top, and they're looking at ways to do that for burials. It's interesting. It's different. They do great work. Thanks, JD. So, any questions you guys have? I have a little bit of time, and then I gotta go and get prepared for Lori Daybell. She's going to be at her arraignment today at 1 p.m. We need Mother Nature and Karma take the wheel. You let it be very warm and let Suzanne lead them to the truth. Yes, Carolyn, yes. There is a landscaper, absolutely, in Eastern Canada. It was in Ontario, and he buried his victims in, that's exactly it, flower pots. That's interesting that you brought it up. I had that down a while ago. I'm gonna have to re-look at it. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it. This was interesting because that guy was so friendly to his buddies and stuff. They would have never thought, but he was totally killing people, and then he would put them in pots. Yeah, I remember that. I would have to go look it up after this. I'm so curious. I wish her arraignment was broadcast too. This makes me so angry, but we know Nate Eaton will have it. So, will I be doing a live on Lori as well? If I can find out some information as fast as possible, I definitely will come on. It just depends how long it takes the news. I'm relying on the news to bring out the news, and then whatever I can do. So it's quite possible I can go live later. My watch just said I did 3,500 steps. A lot of this, I guess. That's funny. MJ says, I don't think he'll leave. He fully believes he's above this and now can see why. He's going to have a puffy chest for sure. Okay. Well, you guys, I think we are going to call it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. And I'm going to keep you guys updated if there's any new stuff. I might do just a quick video. We'll see. We'll see. But we have Lori to deal with this afternoon. Any bets, okay? So here we go. This is what I'm going to bet today. I bet that Lori's going to be wearing baby blue in court. This is my guess. Let me know your guess. I think she is. And I wish I was there to see it live. And I don't know if she's going to be wearing a mask or not. I think if she has the opportunity to wear a mask, she might take it. But I hope she doesn't. And I want everybody to see her smirk. That's my opinion. All right, one more thing I'm going to ask you guys before we go. Put the hashtag We Won't Stop in the comments, or if you're watching this on replay, in the comments below. Give a like. You know I'm going to be coming out with more content, and we're going to see if we can get a little more information on this case. It's not over. It's not over. All right. Love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.